I had breast cancer twice. And why am I here? I'm not alone. There are 20 million people every year who get the diagnosis of cancer. So let me check in here with you. Who of you have experienced cancer in your family, with your friends, neighborhoods, or in your surrounding? Show me your hands who has had experience. And this is a very young audience, but it proves already what people forecast. Every second person in this world will experience cancer. So cancer, just the word, triggers a lot of fear because there are harmful treatments, it's very difficult, people die. But I'm here to share with you, it's not always like this. We resonate with the word cancer in a very negative way, but cancer can have positive outcomes. And I'm here to provide courage and hope to people who are sitting in front of their doctor and hear, you have cancer. 10 years ago, I was sitting in front of my doctor, and he said, you have cancer, breast cancer. And that was the worst day of my life. Because I was thinking, how do I tell my two children, my two boys, they were 10 and 13 at that time. And they knew what cancer means, because we lost a very close friend of us in 11 months after diagnosis, breast cancer, and she died. So my sons knew immediately, wow, cancer, what does it mean? I explained to them, because I really wanted to be honest with them from the beginning, even they were very young. I explained to them it's treatable, I will start treatment. And then they asked me, Mommy, can we share at school? And I was thinking, it's true, even the children know already, don't speak about cancer. And I said, sure, please share at school, soccer club with your friends. So they did, came back. I learned from so-and-so, the mom had breast cancer, and she's doing perfectly well now. She had 2 years, and now she's great, and they were hearing these positive stories. And another person shared, my mom had ovarian cancer, and she's doing very well. And I suddenly realized, I feel good when I hear these stories, just beginning my cancer treatment. So I was searching for these cases in the internet, reading books, trying to understand what did these people do to have a good outcome. Even there's no guarantee, but there were a few things which were very in common, which I implemented into my life. So there were 5 principles I learned from research. The first one, doing exercising, in particular for breast cancer, it's hormone dependent, so exercising is proved to have a good impact on your body and the balance. Nutrition change is the second principle. So I started to be more vegan, vegetarian, no meat anymore. I still eat fish, adding green tea, cranberries, turmeric, raspberries, all these things, a lot of vegetables and soups. And the third one is meditation, strengthening my mind. I add meditation to my life and do every day about 40 minutes. Adding vitamins is the fourth principle which I added to my life. And the fifth one is eliminating negative relationships. Don't get all the negativity from others into myself. I started to practice and learn that. So I went through treatment and had 2 surgeries. I had radiotherapy and anti-hormone therapy. And the impossible became possible for me because I got cured. I was cancer-free after 4 months. Then I came back to work. And the very first day at work, I worked in an international company with 100,000 employees, huge corporation. Very first day, I was attending a senior leaders meeting, global international meeting. A person comes up on stage, walking to the stage, a woman, and she's sharing about her breast cancer experience. And I was almost leaving the room because it was my very first day after my own treatment, and I didn't want to hear that. And I didn't feel well enough. I was still very weak from the therapy. And a colleague of mine turned around to me saying, Yvonne, why do we invite external speakers as patients coming here on stage? You could go on stage and share your experience. And I said, no, never. I will never talk about my own breast cancer experience. Why should I do that? Another experience a few weeks, months later, I still, it takes some time to recover. You're never really being yourself, but it took a few months that I felt 100% strength again. So there was another event. I was invited to a lunch meeting with one of our executive leaders with 10 people in the room. He entered the room. Welcome, everybody. First of all, we should be all very grateful to be healthy, that we can do the work for the patients out there. And I was immediately I felt more like a patient than a healthy employee. And I thought, we are all patients. Everyone in the company, even we do drug development, but everyone in the company is also a patient. But where are all these patients? So I left the room, and in the next couple of weeks and months, I was looking around, where are the other breast cancer patients? 100,000 people working there, every 8th woman has breast cancer. There must be many. So I remembered what my colleague told me, go on stage and share, which I started to do. I wanted to increase visibility, internal meetings, I spoke. More and more women came to me and said, I have breast cancer, I had breast cancer. What we started to do, or I founded an internal patient organization, which I called Patients Are Us. People came together supporting each other, but also provided strategic advice to our product development teams. And then suddenly we developed within 2 years 21 different patient groups, cancer groups, but also other chronic diseases, with more than 2,000 employees connecting in different disease groups. So my cancer helped me to develop and understand further that we need to increase communication and visibility about cancer. I became very successful at work. I grew up to senior vice president positions because I was much more courageous. I said more often no. I put always my 5 principles first, and suddenly I grew in career. And I thought, I feel really strong year by year, but cancer never left me. I had still to do my checkup visit 3 months, 6 months, and every time I'm sitting in front of the doctor, I had a lot of fear that the doctor says, you have cancer again. 8.5 years later, I was suddenly relaxed and thought, okay, now I'm safe, I'm fine. Last year in February, I had my checkup. I was relaxed. First time, really, I was not really fearful. And then the doctor comes to me and says, I see something in your other breast, so we need to do biopsy. We did biopsy. I went to Nepal, as you can see here. In Nepal, I received the confirmation then that I have breast cancer again. So I started therapy, this time with chemotherapy, and I had to learn what can I do to go through chemotherapy in the strongest way possible and getting the best chance to get cured again, but also have still a nice life during treatment. So I learned I can cool my hands and my feet to protect from nerve damage. That's where you see the machine, the yellow boxes. These are the cooling kinds of instruments for my hands, for my feet during therapy. I was sitting 6 hours like this because I had second breast cancer, 2 chemotherapies, 2 antibody therapies, and the infusions lasted 6 hours. Because I wanted to have the machine, I had to sit like this. And then I learned from a former colleague of mine, if you cool your head, you can protect not all your hair, but quite good chance that you keep your hair and that you're not bald-headed in 3 weeks, because that's what happens when you start chemotherapy. I said, okay, off we go, I do it. So that's how I was sitting during treatment, but I kept my 5 principles. I was doing green smoothies in the morning, running, not after chemotherapy. The first day after chemotherapy, I was walking. But the other times I'm running 5 to 6K every morning. And during chemotherapy, I asked my doctor, can I continue? Sure, if you feel up for it, go for it. So I said, okay, I put a lot of effort into continuing my routine, because routine helped me to focus on day by day going through the therapy. And the side effects are pretty hard and pretty intense. But I got up, got running with my friend, who also helped to kick me out of the bed, saying, go. And so we were running. I did my meditation as good as possible. My mind was running around with doing the chemotherapy. It's not so easy to focus. And I focused a lot on my nutrition with, as I said before, vegetables and power food, super power foods, and vitamins. And I added some Chinese medicine, acupuncture. And by that, I felt pretty good going through 6 cycles, almost 5 months of therapy. And I wanted to continue to work. And I worked from home. Since COVID, many options are there, home offices. So I worked from home and led a team of more than 1,200 people globally, and felt comfortable because I kept the majority of my hair. And if I looked into the camera, felt like, oh, I'm not bold. I'm not feeling like this typical cancer patient we all know from photos. And it helped me to be stronger and do work. I could work week 2 and week 3, not the first week after chemo, but I kept on working, which made me more stronger, also mentally, but also physically. The head of the unit was not so supportive of the machine, because I organized it for myself to get it there. But my direct oncologist, he said, yes, you can do that. And one day, after 6 hours sitting, my friend usually brought me food. Even after chemo, you're not so hungry, but I focused a lot not losing too much weight because I wanted to stay strong. So she brought me spaghetti. I was eating, after therapy, spaghetti, very happy I can eat. The head of the unit came in saying, what are you doing here? And in this tone, this is not a restaurant. Well, I just finished therapy and I'm happy I can eat a bit. Yes, but you can bring bread, but you shouldn't eat spaghetti. Okay. Anyway, I'm telling you that because you work in hospitality, and I think going through a cancer treatment is very important to increase patients' experiences in the best way possible. And here you see last chemo on your left-hand side. I managed to go through the chemo successfully. And these photos are taken at the same time. I did chemo and I kept on running. And when I look now back, I have a whole photo library from last year. The chemo lasted until July. When I look back to these photos, I look pretty happy, even miserable sometimes, but pretty happy and strong. And when I look at this now, I think, wow, how did I make that? How could I go through with so much more ease and peace than I could ever imagine? And I think it was really because I took every day with my routine, focus on the present moment, but with high dedication and a lot of effort to keep my body and my mind in the routine and healthy. So that led me through, that I kept going, and I had no doubt that I will be healthy again. And here I am. I'm healthy again. I had a surgery in August, and then since September I could work more or less full time. But yes, that's where I am. Now when I'm comparing my experience from 2014 to 2023, there has a lot of changed, because 10 years ago, the majority of the medical treatment focused on the medicines, on the treatments, on the surgery. Patient experience, that you feel well, that you keep your hair, that was not really in the focus. Nowadays, there are other options, and it's not nice to have for a patient. Some physicians think it's nice to have because the hair grows again, but it's not. For me, it was fundamental, important that I can look in the mirror, that I can work, that I feel strong. And then the hospital experience, I went to the same hospital 10 years and now, was completely different. I got aromatherapy this time, physiotherapy. It was like a hotel, honestly. All great treatments. They gave me all the time a menu, like in a restaurant, and I could choose the right food, what I'd like to eat. No meat, more vegetarian options, no milk products, green tea, everything. And every time you got this menu. And this was just a wonderful experience. And to conclude, because you're in hospitality, you may don't see people around you who have cancer, who go through cancer right now. You don't see it always. It's not this typical photo, which we all know, with a bald head, not always. And therefore, always remember, provide the best experience to your customers. They may have cancer, they may not, but if they have also cancer, don't be afraid. This is a disease people have to battle and go through, but they have a life, and I learned it's manageable. And I wish that you focus on sustainability, on building that trust and respect to the people and to the nature, because cancer will be something which will be cured for everyone one day, I have no doubt. Thank you very much.